Should your browser be an AI agent? Hello and welcome to TechFirst. My name is John Koetsier. Agents, AI agents. We're hearing more and more about AI agents these days. Will they change our lives? Will we trust them? Should we? What can they do? What should they do? Opera has done a lot with AI, and they're actually building an agentic browser that some people are using right now. Very few select people inside, maybe a few outside as well. It's the first agentic browser. We're going to get a peek at what it does, what it can do, and why you might be interested in having it at some point. To chat, we have Henrik Lexow. He's a senior product leader at Opera. Welcome, Henrik.
Thank you. Nice to have me.
I am super pumped to talk about this. Maybe let's start here. Why do we need an agentic browser?
Well, yeah, that's a very good question. But let's just take a step back and look at like how AI and the browser, the internet met. So back in 2023, it was like a rush. OpenAI had launched the ChatGPT, and everybody was hyped about it, and so was Opera. So we actually managed to launch the very first sort of browser interface with an AI chat. That was based on OpenAI's GPT technology, and we connected it with context into the browser. And then just a few months later, we launched what we called Aria, which is Opera's native AI interface, much better integrated, and an experience that was focusing on like how the user interact with both the web pages and the chat. It was a starting point, and it has evolved over time, right? But we started with the ChatGPT method or that approach first to put a little bit of internal pressure on ourselves. So from March to May in 2023, we first launched the ChatGPT thing, and then Aria 2 months later. Like insane pressure, and we really got there. Over those months that have passed since we did that, we have been very thoroughly developing and experimenting, interacting with our users, taking feedback on how to develop AI in context of a browser. So, for instance, we in early 2024 we launched what we call the Feature Drops program, where on a sort of a beta channel of Opera, we had what we call the feature drops. So the experimental AI features were coming out there, and then we were like launching a different sets of mechanisms. For instance, where we had like AI memory, a little bit contextual to your page, tabs, right? So I don't know if all of your listeners know this, but Opera was the first browser to invent the tabs in a browser, like way back.
Thank you.
Yeah, exactly. That's a quite an important experience, and we were also the first one to let AI interact with those tabs. So, for instance, we can call them tabs commands, and you can use natural language to type in, for instance, okay, group all my social media tabs or close my news tabs or whatever.
I know some people who need that. I know some people who have like 100 tabs open, and they're always you're on a call with them, and they're like, I have it in a tab here somewhere, and they can never find it.
But we have personas in Opera. We have like the 150 tab people, and we have the 3 tab people.
So, I'm a 3-tab person. I have more windows than tabs usually.
Exactly. So yeah, exactly. No, we know about them, and I'm in the more like 100 plus tab category normally. But I do use the tab commands sometimes, and then like that's like. But this is like it's not like rocket science, but this is where like we have been like evolving the sort of the concept of AI in a browser, and that's sort of leading up to agents. So the tab commands maybe is an agent, so to speak, kind of simple agent, right? But anyway, these were things that were experimented first in like what we then call the Feature Drops program. We had like, I forgot now, around 20, 25 of them in total. And it's a very good vehicle to experiment, pump out new things, decide, okay, we're not going to do this. That wasn't the wrong thing. Like this was a good way to figure out what to do and not what to do. And that's leading up to your question, I think. Like, so okay, so what now, right? Where does this thing move now? Earlier this year, we announced what we then called Opera Operator. That was a kind of a first step towards something truly browser agentic, where we can use natural language again to ask the browser to do things on your behalf together with you,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily just browsing for you in a sort of like a black box and send it out there. Not something that's happening on the cloud, but it's actually happening
Yeah.
on your browser, on your computer. And this is rather important. This is something new and something that we haven't really seen in a broad context. None of the other big players are doing this. We are quite unique in this sense. So that was a demo back in February, and now we have upped the game once again, where we including that bit, what we then called operator, and we're also bringing in another component where you can create stuff, create web apps, and create things that you can bring with you in an agentic fashion in the browser. And it's all coming together now in a product we call Opera Neon, and we're super hyped about it. And we launched it just now with, like you just mentioned, very, very limited access currently, but a growing waitlist. This is super interesting to see that, and that people are signing up and really, yeah, eager to get hold of this.
Love the history. Love the. It's important where things come from because it shows where they might go as well, and shows like sometimes you go down a blind alley. Sometimes you need to back out and go back. Okay, so an agentic browser. Let's re-ask the question: why do we need one? But before we do that, let's answer maybe a more important question: what is an agentic browser?
Mm-mm. So an agentic browser is the agentic part is where AI can do things in the context of the browser. So
Mm-hmm.
what it does is it can use whatever page you're on, or you can start even searching. The starting point can be different things, and it can follow through acting on intent that you might be having, explicit
Mm-hmm.
or more implicit,
Mm-hmm.
based on the context. And it can follow and execute tasks and do tasks in a sort of what we will get to this later, we call that neon do. So in
Yeah.
that context, we can actually do stuff. It's like an active component that can do things.
It
And
it seems to me it
it can.
seems to me almost that it's like a force multiplier because like the way we often use tabs is like I have a project I'm working on and it has 10 components and I might have a tab open or a few tabs open for each thing. I have to search this, I have to do that, I have to find out about this, I have to update that, and I might have tabs. Would an agentic browser help you do something like that? You can send it off to do something here, send it off to figure this out while I'm working on something else here.
Yes, absolutely. And so we are demoing, or not really demoing, what we're betaing today is not the full scope of what you just said, but this is like the first steps towards that. So yes, being able to ask an agent to do stuff for you while you're away, that's very much part of the concept here.
Mm,
But it's also like very important to remember that you are in the context of your browser. Like the browser is where many of us use and live on the computer,
100%.
right? You
100%.
use your G Suite or your Microsoft 365. You use Canva or Figma, all these web apps. Most of the stuff happens in the browser, right? So being able to spin off or spawn off certain processes that can happen in the background while you're doing other things, and also in the context of you. So you're logged into these different services. You have like the different sessions you're open, the things you're doing, the tabs that are open, the history you have, right? All these things
Mhm.
are super important signals to how this agent, we call it Neon, but how this agent can help you with your daily life, your daily actions, your things, and simplify the things that you're working on.
It's fascinating. It's fascinating because you say that and probably we don't realize it as much as we would because we're kind of like the I don't know the frog in the water and the temperature slowly rising. But how we use computers these days is so vastly different from how we did it even 10 years ago, longer for sure. But it used to be open an app, work in an app, close an app, open another app, work in an app, maybe have 10 apps open, 100 apps open at one time. Now, almost everything is in a browser. We're communicating in a browser right now.
Exactly.
This is a browser-based experience. The writing I do is in a browser. The research I do is in a browser. Increasingly, image editing, Canva or Figma, you mentioned, is in a browser, right? The browser is the computer.
Exactly. It's sort of like, and like you're saying, there's a question we don't know the answer to yet, but like this, like the agentic browser, is that the sort of the new operating system? Is that sort of where it converges, right? It's a big question, and we don't know the answer to it yet. But here we have other components coming into the picture as well, like agent-to-agent protocols, MCP, these type of technologies that are meant for agents to communicate with each other and the rest of the internet and the rest of the world. These things looks like very well converges in sort of the browser for a end user interface, right? It's very well positioned to do that. So it's almost like it's like you're pointing out here. It's like the next iteration of the internet. It will be agentic. That's pretty much obvious at this point. Is more a question of how the users will interact with that. And for now, what we have today is the browser, and that's a very good starting point, right? Opera, we've been making browsers for 30 years, so we know how to approach that.
Can you imagine that? Just listen to that. We've been making browsers for 30 years. We think we're so new fashioned and high tech and on the internet and everything. 30 years.
Yes, 30 years.
This is a long time now.
Yeah.
Wow. It's fascinating. I'm gonna ask you to, we have so much other things to talk about, but I'm gonna ask you to pull it up because I want people to start seeing it. As you start pulling that up and show us a few things of what it can do, it's fascinating to think about the long-term consequences here, because we've thought about lock-in and platform lock-in, and we've thought about that in device-centric ways in a lot of ways, sometimes software suite ways as well, but certainly with iPhone and Mac and Windows, the platforms, there's been that lock-in. Well, that's interesting because the browser is now the key interface, not necessarily the operating system. How does that change the world? How does that change all the power relationships we have? So many unanswered questions there. Show us what you're using Neon for. Show us what an agentic browser can do, even in the early stages you've got right now.
Yes, so cool. So let me just like explain a little bit what we're looking at now, because this is essentially a new browser interface, but you will recognize some components here. In this early days, we are showcasing three different experiences essentially of the agentic browser. We have chat, and I think we talked about this earlier just now where we talked about ARIA. So Neon has also a chat function, very much in line with all the feature drops and experiments and all the development we've done within ARIA sort of converges into this chat experience. And I don't think I need to spend too much time on that. But
so just to make sure we capture what that is, that's not necessarily chat in terms of social chat. That's like, I want to ask a question and I want an answer. That's basically how most people use ChatGPT these days or something like that, correct?
Exactly. So thanks for pointing that out. No, so this is very, very quite similar to T. It's built on the foundation of ARIA, which is like your quite generic chat interface. And let's just say I have like so what's a distance to the moon type of question. And I don't think anyone of your audience will be very surprised about how we respond here. But what is important is that, okay, what we're looking at now is an experience that has been there quite early on in Opera's AI implementation, where we are like already like this we did a long time ago, add this sort of like, okay, sources, attribution, links, you can click. So this is like a chat interface. But what is important here also is that we can take the context when you're browsing and apply that to your chat, right? So let's say you're on a certain web page and you want to acquire about that page. then we can open up a dialogue and do a chat from there on, right? So in that context of a page.
So if I'm on some like long complex page, I can ask for a summary or something like that.
For instance, or even more, right? So let's pull up a certain. I'm just thinking about. I'm going to go do a Google search first to find some interesting page. So I'm going to find some review of vacuum cleaners. And let's see if we find something.
First, you have to scroll down past all the 25 different page results.
And now you're into another point, right? Where it's like the future of search, which is also very much related to. Okay, so here we see there's a long page coming up with a lot of different things, right? So let's say I'm a little bit in the mode of just like trying to figure out what's going on here. So what I can do, I can bring up this dialogue here, and I can switch over to what we call page context, and I can hear a request. I'm on budget. I live in a studio apartment.
The best option.
Exactly. So then what it will do is that I haven't really read this page, I just scrolled through it. But instead of me like starting reading through it, I just want to like, okay, use the context of this page and go for that. So it'll summarize this in a very sort of neat way, right? This is
nice.
And that's sort of like, and context is king, right? This is like where now I just did a Google search and I ended up here. Context is king. So like if I'm on Google Docs page in some logged in state where I'm like I can also inquire there. Like the context follows me around, right? So since this is the browser I'm using on an everyday thing, this context is building up, and you can use that context also through the history, different tabs, etc., etc.
So that's super interesting because one of the things I do a lot of is I'm in a Google Doc and I'm writing and I need to do some research. And so then I could bring up some research and I can check something out and be in context rather than switch to, let's say, a ChatGPT window or another tab for some Google searching. I use DuckDuckGo, all that stuff. Super interesting. Okay, cool. So that's Neon Chat. Which one do you want to show us next?
We can go to Neon Do. So like I talked about a little bit earlier, Neon Do is the active agent here. It's the agent that can interact with you. And I'm just going to pretext this a little bit by we are now in learning mode. That's why we haven't really opened this up to the whole world yet. So the next experience we are presenting in Opera Neon is the Neon Do, which is more the active component. This is the thing that will help you browse with you. So I can start off by clicking this, or I can also even have it in a sidebar, which is rather relevant because the sidebar is sort of like things will happen on two sides of the screen now. So you need to have some understanding what's going on either side. So we can start off with something really quite simple. And I have like a sort of called the hello world of this agent, which is buy me socks on Amazon. Men's size 10, I like white. And what it'll do now is, since I said on Amazon, it'll probably go straight to Amazon. Yes, it did. And here it will, I'm guessing, searching. We'll see what it'll do here. But what you notice that you have a little information box down here where it says Neon is browsing. And it's already started searching, and it did some clicks, and we've seen that it's finding some options here. I think I'm just going to change the zoom level a little bit so you can see the whole page. I'm a little bit smaller screen right now while we're recording, so just to get everything in context there. And since I used the word buy, it will probably be quite aggressive on that. I am now logged in. Here it says deliver to Henrik. This is my San Francisco address. So let's just say I have had socks delivered where I actually was planning to cancel the order. So let's see what it'll do here. It's choosing white socks, it's browsing around. And I don't know if you see my hands, but I'm very much hands off this now, right?
Yes.
This is doing
Yes.
all this by itself. I'm not really interfering with anything it's doing. I could though, if I wanted to, I can go in and click, because this is the browser. This is not happening
Yeah.
on the server. This is happening in my browser right now. So
Okay.
if I
Okay.
were to like change to black or whatever, I could have done that, right?
Okay. Gotcha. Can you scroll down in the neon is browsing window so we can see what it's thinking or
Yeah,
saying?
yes. So
I
it'll
see.
exactly. So this is where we started at the very
Yeah.
bottom.
Oh, I see. Top is the latest. Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So exactly. So and the latest point we had is add the socks to the cart, so the user can proceed now.
Gotcha.
Here it stopped. So the cart is added to the cart. It is waiting for me to check it out and do the final step there.
So what comes to my mind when I see something like that is I see when, and maybe this is now, or maybe this is some point in the future, when this is a fully mature product, you can basically, because it knows your history and knows a lot about you and sees what you do, you say, you remember those socks that I bought 6 months ago on Amazon? Reorder the same for me, or something like that. And it should be able to do something like that at some point.
At some point, yes. So you're completely right. We have not wired all these things up yet, but
Hmm.
we have in the Neon chat, and from the technology, we have context both through AI memory. So it starts
Yep.
learning from you, semi-structured, but then also from the context of history, right? So exactly like you're
Yes.
saying, if I were to say to Neon that my preference for socks are white and I'm using size 10, then the
Yeah.
next step could be like just order me more socks,
Yeah.
because then it's like, and it also knows that I'm preferencing Amazon, so it will just be
Yeah.
okay, order me more socks.
So the implications of this are really really amazing. They go a lot of different directions because
Mm,
I I can see when this is a mature product and you're
mm,
adding cool features to it all the time. You can say, "Hey, you remember those socks I bought 6 months ago? Buy some more for me. I want the same kind. Check Amazon, but
mm,
also look around on the internet and see if there's somewhere else where it's cheaper,
mm.
right?" And
Exactly.
and I can see it actually. Okay, I know those ones. I want you to actually just do it, not add it to a cart. Just do it and tell me when it's done, type thing. That's super interesting. The other point that's super interesting actually is that this matters to me in a lot of ways. We're immersed in AI, but most of the AI that we're immersed in is not our AI, is not happening on our device, and is not primarily designed for our benefit. And so Amazon may come out with some AI. You remember Amazon had those little tabs. You could put it on your like your dishwasher, and when you ran out of dishwasher soap, you could press that and it would automatically reorder. That was like a decade ago. They thought it
Yeah.
was like an IoT thing or something like that, right? And and you can of course do something like that with Alexa, and you get Alexa to reorder stuff for you. But I don't know that I want Amazon's AI to be that close to me. I don't know that I want Meta's AI to be super close to me. It already knows a lot about me from my use of Meta's products, Facebook, Instagram, other things, WhatsApp, all that stuff, right? But when I want an AI that is going to know a lot of detail about me, know an awful lot about me, and be a close companion and an assistant, an
Mm,
agent, I want that AI to be pretty trustworthy. And I want that AI's drivers to be aligned with mine. It's not
mm.
necessarily something that's just designed to make me buy more at Amazon or engage more on Facebook or whatever. I want it to align with my goals and my purposes. So that's interesting to me because I can see how this could potentially be that thing.
Yes, and like we will get to a little bit later also, like we're trying now in this sort of, call it like a very early version of an agentic browser, because this is what it is. Like we're still building the experience here, but then sort of the next iteration we're working on now behind the scenes is like one step towards a more immersive experience where we don't have 3 different silos, but that we are starting at least the first step towards combining these different experiences and towards the direction that you're talking about. We're still a few months away from what you're talking about and that experience, but that is very much on the horizon for us. This
Cool.
is definitely where we are headed.
And so I see a third area on there, Neon Make. I'm assuming that is generative AI to make things like images and text and stuff like that.
Yeah, almost. It's definitely that's breakfast for AI, right? So, but
Yeah.
what Neon Make is a little bit more than just that. It's actually like where you can create things to bring with you almost. We are in the browser context very good, like we talked about earlier, web apps. So that's some of the things that we make really well. And this is where typically a use case for this is when you need a little bit more research, like something that takes a little bit longer. And the output is something that you may or may not want to bring with you. But for instance, like I can make we have like a hello world here also. So let's start it off. And this can take a little bit of time. So let's start off a couple and we can come back to see what's going on here. The hello world of this is like make Nokia 3210 this style snake game. Do you know the Nokia 3210?
Vaguely.
So, but the snake game is like you have some fruit, some food on the board, and you're supposed to move the snake around, and it grows as you eat the food.
Gotcha.
So, I'll talk a little bit about what's going to happen on the screen here, and then we can start a few other things and look at some of the things that has been done. So, what we're seeing here is that it's spinning up something called Neon Computer. Neon here in this context runs now on the cloud, not in the browser. So this is something I can start before lunch and come back to after lunch, or something I can run in the background while I'm doing something else. And what is happening? I'm just think if it's possible, I can zoom down. Did you see I'm zooming in there?
Yes, 100%.
So what's going on here is that this is what we call like a high-level agenda, where sort of like it analyzed the input I gave it, the prompt. And it's looking at like, okay, these are the high-level things I need to do. Research the original Nokia Snake game, gather or generate necessary visual assets, develop a web app, deploy the completed Snake game. So this is sort of like, this is the sort of the agenda it has, right? And here you see it's using things on the internet, it's investigating, researching. This will take some time. So you can see that
it'll just make a game for you and then you can play it online.
Yes.
Wow.
That's the expectation here. So
where does it publish it? Does it publish it to some random place, or does it publish it to your own archive? Or
so the game that is produced will be a link hosted on our servers. And that's shareable. You can share this game with others, or whatever we're producing, you can share with others. But not just that, you can also share other things with others. So let me see if I can bring up something that has been done before by somebody else. And I'm going to bring that into another page here. That's just a URL. So it's called the replay. And in a web page, it's loading. Okay. So what happened over here was that the input was, I'm an expat. I recently moved to Norway. I don't read Norwegian well, and I need help understanding these 4 car insurance policies. I'm considering to buy a car, but I want a detailed setup and understanding of this interactive so that I can best choose the insurance company that fits me the best. My car would be a second-hand EV, like a Pulsar Model 3. I will need to take a car loan. So with this prompt, they uploaded 4 Norwegian car insurance policies. And it then, we can actually, sorry, I clicked the wrong button, skip the results of what I wanted to do. So we can see what it did. Then it just analyzed. It didn't go out and did too much research out there, but it analyzed these PDFs. And it set up a page like this.
Cool.
With sort of like a little bit interactive, you can see what's like best for expat. There are some some information about it. Here are the different companies. And
basically, you can see what all the policies have, compare, contrast, all that stuff, and make a pretty quick and easy decision. Yeah,
exactly.
cool.
So that would be very helpful in that situation, right? In it's a kind of interactive, like almost educational approach to understanding that problem, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So this is something I've done before, and of course in Neon we have, like, you can see down here that the scrolling through things.
You've made a few things.
I've been doing lately, and you might see a couple of snake games here before.
Maybe click into one that's finished, and we'll see if we can play it.
Let's see if we can
restart.
Yeah, so that's it's actually like previewing on the right hand side here. It's previewing the web app. If I'm clicking it, okay, so now I probably need to start interacting with it. Okay, so it's moving around. It's oh, I am not good at
if you hit the edge, then you die. I get it.
Yes,
Okay.
exactly. So
there's food. You got to eat that.
Yeah,
now you got it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a dangerous one near the edge. That's hard.
Exactly.
There you go.
Now it's the corner. That's impossible.
Oh wow. Okay, excellent.
Right.
Very cool.
Then what's even cooler here, that you could then like continue prompting this. So there are a lot of cool things here. Let's take it step by step. So one thing here is that, okay, this is a thing that has happened already, but I can continue prompting this and say, I don't like the style. Make it more simplistic, for instance.
Okay.
And then it will like take what it had, but iterate over it and continue working on it. The prompt was really simple. Here we like the super simple, like create a web app snake game. It was like not even Nokia 32 style, so like without any style input. So this will also spawn off a new process. It will do new research. It will take you some time to get to this also.
Do you have to pay for that? This involves some significant compute, and then it's storing somewhere, so that has a cost, I assume?
Yes, correct. So Neon is a subscription service. We haven't published the actual prices yet. Like we mentioned, there are extremely few people who have access to it outside of Opera. But we are coming up on that point now where we will start charging for this. Yes, you're completely on the money there. There is significant compute involved. But we believe that a combination of compute for both Opera Neon Do and Neon Make has some value, and we will charge a reasonable amount to.
So super cool, huh? Well, what's interesting to me, just to zoom back out to the big picture, and it is just how this will change how we interface with technology. We've been using computers and we've been using browsers to interface with resources, right? And do work. And now we're seeing a new way emerge of how we'll interact with compute directly, as well as resources and information and accessibility and online tools. It's a fascinating thing that we're working towards.
Yeah, it's really fascinating. And like you said, we are like right now taking a first step here. Like this is a big bet for the future, right? But nobody knows exactly what the future. In 3 years, this is moving so fast. It's very hard to know exactly where things are. But like having these agentic experiences enabled through the browser, like we are doing now, is for us sort of the ultimate sort of convergence of the new era, right? This is where things are happening. So yeah, I'm fully with you there, John.
Well,
should we
there's our game.
Let's see. It looks like you tried to overlay it on something that looks like a
Yes, it did. Oh, I gave you a tough one right off the bat. Wow.
Right.
You got it.
Oh no. Oh no. Yeah. Okay. Good. Okay.
You got it.
Okay.
Very good. Impressive.
Okay.
Impressive.
No, well, I'm not the best of a player, but anyway. So yeah, that's sort of like the hello world example, and like I've done this.
Hello World has grown up. Hello World has grown up. For people who aren't programmers and have never developed anything, Hello World is the first program you make in a new programming language, especially when you're a kid, you're learning to program, maybe in BASIC or something like that. Way back when you would create a little app that would say Hello World, and there you go. It's alive.
Exactly. But John, you mentioned that, like, where is this and how can I share it? So there are two ways I can share this with you now. And then one would be to click this share button up here.
Mm-hmm.
And then that will copy this, or I can copy this share link here. And I don't know, can I share this to you in here? There's a chat window.
There, in fact, there is a chat window. Yes.
Yeah. And I'll share this to you here. And you can probably open this, what do you call, a replay of what I just did. So you can't really necessarily continue on. But there you'll see the whole thing, I think.
Yes.
And there will be like a link where you say click for preview, a little bit up here, deploy the application, and you can click for preview. There you can also download the source codes for this here.
Yeah.
But if you open that link is also shareable to anybody, which is just the web app that's created. Right.
Nice. Well, Henrik, we have to come to a close, but this has been fascinating. It's been super cool to see not just what a browser is evolving to, but what agents are evolving to and what the combination might become. There's a ton there to think about. Want to just let you know, I appreciate your time. Thank you for spending this with us, and I look forward to seeing where it goes.
No, and thank you, and I really appreciate you taking time to interview me. So, yeah.